Thank you all so much for being here. Good afternoon. I'm Chris Arcucci, the founder of Mindful Living Arts. And I believe that living an open-hearted life is the most powerful way to say yes to love and yes to life. I've come to believe this about love, not because I've lived a fairy tale life. I've come to believe this because life has invited me over and over and over again to recognize the opportunity to say yes and open when life presents me with challenges, or to go the way of fear and to close and protect myself. I'd love to share my story with you and inspire you to recognize how precious every moment is in your life. When I was 2 years old, my grandfather died. And although I was too young to really understand what love was or to explain it, I knew the feeling in my body. I knew how it felt to be around him. And so after he passed, I would get on my play phone and call him and say, "Papa, come home," which must have been so bittersweet for my grandmother and my family who knew that he wouldn't be coming home the way I wanted him to. Each of us needs and wants love in our life. We need it in order to survive. And those moments of loss are opportunities to recognize that all of us will pass. Every single one of us will be transformed. Every one we love will also pass on. So don't miss those precious moments that we have to open and to say yes to love. When I was 13 years old, my mother remarried a man that I didn't like or trust. And so I went to her and I told her about my experience with him. And she acted as if I didn't even say anything to her. She pretended like I didn't even say anything. So I went to my father and told him my concerns and my experience. And luckily, he welcomed me into his home with open arms. He said, "Please come and live with me." And so I said yes. And I moved in with my father. And when I went and told my mother, she disowned me and told me I was no longer her daughter. And although I knew in my heart this was the way that I needed to say yes to love and yes to my own life, it was profoundly painful to have my mother say no to me. But often in the invitation of loving, we're also invited to create boundaries, to guard our heart in a way so we're not careless in the way that we love and the way that we live open-heartedly. But we recognize that saying yes to love sometimes means saying no. Luckily, my sister, my older sister, was available to guide me into becoming a woman. She was creative and dynamic and beautiful and free-spirited and helped to guide me on that threshold, on that passage from being a girl into becoming a woman after losing the primary feminine role model. She opened her heart to me and I opened my heart to her, and it was so powerful and healing to have her in my life. So I started practicing yoga and exploring what living an open-hearted life meant to me. Meditated and created music and wrote and explored creative expression as a way of feeling the loss and feeling the pain that was natural in losing my mother. When I was 22 years old, I was living in the mountains of Yosemite, and I got a call from my father in the middle of the night. And at the time, I was working 2 jobs and running a business, so in the middle of the night, I wasn't really coherent until my father said to me, "Kimberly's in the hospital, and she's not going to make it." At which point, the air was removed from my lungs, and I couldn't even breathe. I couldn't imagine life without my sister. It was just too heartbreaking. The next day I got on a plane to Chicago to be by her side, knowing that this was the last portion of her life, and knowing how painful it would be to lose her. That week in the hospital, I sat by her side even though she wasn't conscious, and I watched her breathe, and I heard the monitor with her heartbeat, and I remembered all that she had given me, all the ways that she had impacted my life, and could feel my heart breaking. And at the same time, love doesn't die. It merely transforms. So even in the process of losing her, I would open. Let my heart break open in losing her. In the last few moments of her life, we invited a great healer in to support my family, myself, and my sister in the transition. And as she was taking her last breaths, I reached one hand out to touch her heart, and the other hand I put on my own heart. And of course, my heart was breaking. It was so profound and deep, the crack in my own heart. And as she left, I knew that I would continue to love her, to say yes to her love and her life through my own life. That would be the greatest gift I could give her. It took many years to unveil the layers of pain and protection that came from losing her. And just about the time that I started feeling more like myself, more clear about my own path and direction, the connection to my own heart, I got another call. The universe again was going to give me the invitation to open to love. This time, it was my father. He had died of a heart attack. And I couldn't even fathom this kind of loss on top of all that had happened. It was as if the universe was again inviting me to recognize that we will lose everyone, to recognize that each moment we have with the people we love is precious. So I got on a plane and flew to Chicago and navigated the loss of my father and the pain that came along with it, and the opportunity to continue to open, to recognize that I could say yes to love and yes to life, or I could choose to close and to be afraid of loving again because it might hurt. And the truth is, it will hurt. We will lose the people we love. So why not risk it all and love each moment with wild abandon? When we have those moments with people we care about, why not open so full and so wide that we have no regret, that we never wonder what would have happened if I would have been more present? And in this world, there are so many ways we get pulled out of the moment. We get pulled out of being present with ourselves and the people we love. And I invite you to recognize that each breath you share with someone, each moment you can open your own heart and love deeply and powerfully, are the things that you will remember. It will be the gifts that you are given from being courageous and being open-hearted. 2.5 years ago, my sister was pregnant with twins, which would be the first of the next generation of my family. And as my family was shrinking, I was thrilled that she was bringing new life into the world. 11 weeks before they were due, she gave birth to them, which was highly dangerous. And we thought we would lose them. They were immediately taken to intensive care, and the danger was high. Both of them had to have surgery within the first 2 weeks of their life. And they were under 3 pounds when they were born. And the choice had already been made for me through all of the other loss that I had experienced, that I would love them as fully as I could, even if it was only for a few weeks, that I knew I couldn't hold back. So I got on a plane for Chicago and went to be with my sister, her husband, and the twins. And when I arrived there, my sister gave me the most incredible gift and allowed me to hold them, skin to skin, Brendan and Sophie, and to breathe love into them, to feel their heart beating like a little hummingbird, and to just hold them in my heart center, to just supercharge my love into them, to not hold back. Thankfully, with this story, they are still around, so I get to continue loving them. And because of all that I've lost in my life, I do my best to recognize that each moment with the people we love are so precious. The heart-to-heart connection is invaluable. Our opportunity to say yes to love and yes to life is each day, each moment. Hopefully we recognize it before those moments, before someone leaves, that we recognize how precious it is to connect and to love. In every day and in every way, say yes to love. Love is your breath. Love is your movement. Love is your way of being in the world. It is your presence. To me, love is the reason that we're here. And I invite you with me to say yes to love and yes to life. Thank you.